I'm on a quest to find the best climbing gym in New York City, and today I'm at Bouldering Project in Gowanus. For grading, each boulder is given a color corresponding to a range of up to 3 V grades. I'm going to try a bunch of climbs up to V7, and at the end, I'll tell you where I'd put this gym on my tier list. This first boulder is quite interesting. I tried grabbing the foothold, but it's unusable, so I have to make a big move to a jug. Definitely not what I expected from my first boulder of the day. And it was only like 2 moves, so not a very good warm-up. This climb is a lot more straightforward, but I will say that I have to get some pretty high feet. This first move is really hard. Later, I found out that it's a 2-hand start, which would have been a lot easier. The next move is hard too. I swing my feet over and get a high right foot, and then there's a huge move to a slot. I'm lucky that I can lock off to it. Dead pointing that move would be crazy for a V3. This purple boulder is just a steep jug ladder. It honestly feels the easiest of all the climbs so far. This next boulder is a steep dyno with a one-handed catch. The right foothold feels a little high, so I swing left and use the foothold to redirect myself upward. On my third attempt, I'm able to stick the dyno. The last hold is a lot slopier than I thought, so I just have to sit on that leg. This black boulder is a steep and tensiony crimp line. There's a big move out left, and I have no idea how to set up my feet for it. I get a heel hook with a back flag, and I'm able to do it. I cross over, and the position becomes extremely hard to hold. I very slowly release my right foot and move it to a higher hold, but then I'm stuck horizontal on an awful crimp. I get a Gaston to avoid the cross, but I have to cross over for the next move instead. I try to smear against the volume, but I can't really pull into it with the holds. So I slip and decide to move on because of how physically taxing it is, but it's a really sick boulder. This orange boulder is all jugs. It has a jump start and then a couple of side pulls which force you to find opposition with your feet. I opt for a right heel hook, which lets me move my right hand a couple times. The top is pretty simple with a big move to the last hold and a bicycle for the match. This black boulder starts on a jug under the volume and you go out to another jug. You swing your feet over and then there are a couple of crimps. I decide to make a bigger move from a better hold and skip the first crimp. The last 2 holds are jugs. I guess this is a V4 and the previous black boulder could be closer to V6, but the gap is so big, it feels criminal to put these 2 in the same group. Since the last climb was so easy, this orange boulder really surprised me. The first move is pretty hard because of how steep it is, and then it's hard to move my feet up. I would have dropped it if I wasn't on a jug. The next couple holds are a lot slopier than I thought, and I have to rethink my beta. I get a high right foot and rock over it. I make a big move to a jug, and then the rest of the climb is pretty chill. I decided to try this V5 to V7. It starts on a couple of crimps, and then I go to a juggy side pull undercling. This hold is a good pinch, but then I struggle to find a position to move my left hand. I eventually settle on a high right foot with a back flag. The next pinch is a lot slopier, and as I make the next move, I almost come off. But luckily, the next hold is really in cut. I make a big move around the lip, and I'm able to get the flash. This orange boulder is basically just a jug ladder. Again, I don't even know how it's in the same ballpark as the previous orange climbs. Like, one is a big dino, the other has powerful moves on slopers, and there's this, a jug ladder. This black boulder starts on good holds in the cave. The next hold looks really slopey, so I go for a bigger move to the jug. It seems a lot easier than using the sloper and moving your feet around. I don't rock over my foot enough and miss the hold, but I use the sloper to push myself just a bit further. The box for the last move feels pretty small. I try to keep both feet on, but it feels like I'm being pushed away from the wall. I try a back flag, but can't reach. So I go back to keeping my right foot on. I found that I really had to overshoot the last hold to grab the good part and control the swing. This was an interesting one, although I think you could remove the middle two slopers and still have the same boulder. The holds on this climb looked really juggy, so I wonder what made it V5 to V7. It turns out the moves are quite powerful, and the positions are just insecure enough to make me hesitate. I'm not sure where to put my feet for the next move. I could probably jam it high in the big hold, but it feels dangerous if I fall. I go out left to the volume, but just barely can't stick it. I try a heel hook match and a toe hook match, but there's no room on that hold. I stick the volume, but cut loose on the next move. It's a lot harder to get my foot on in this position, and I have no energy left for the last move. I hit the last hold, but then I try to readjust and end up falling. This one is super exhausting, so I move on to save energy. This climb is mostly just another jug ladder, but the last move was quite big and surprisingly intimidating. This one has one of the most interesting features I've ever seen. It's a thinnerette, so you can use it as a really good pinch or side pull, but the texture is kind of slippery. This red boulder is a cool one-move wonder to introduce dynamic movement to newer climbers. This green boulder is a nice flowy traverse, and the side pulls seem to be giving some newer climbers some trouble, so it's good for teaching direction of pull. This blue boulder is a crimp line combined with a ret compression. The starting heel is pretty high, but luckily I'm flexible enough to reach it. This next move requires full body tension, but my hips come out a little too much and I can't quite hold it. This time I lock my body down. I get the move and the next one. I cut feet while moving them over to the right, and luckily the holds are good enough to stay on. I make a big move and I'm able to crank down on a full crimp. I step through with my left foot, but the position is awful and I can't stay on. Instead of stepping through, I get a left heel hook and I can reach the crimpy pinch statically. The last move is pretty big, so I try to jump off the left foot, but I slip before I can generate enough power. This time, I get a heel hook and bring my right foot up to smear. Then, I'm able to get the move. The last hold isn't great, so I have to get a heel again to match. This red boulder looks super cool and has jug feet with relatively worse handholds. I think you're supposed to get into really delicate positions with high feet, but I can kind of just muscle through it. This green one is a lot more straightforward. For the first part, you're yanking on slopers. For the last move, you do sort of an assisted pistol squat. This blue boulder is sick. There are so many holds, and they all have different angles. This means it's all about finding ways to keep tension through opposition and counter pressure. I slipped during the foot swap, but it would have been a bad position anyway. I keep the bicycle, which lets me move my right hand without swinging out from the wall. I want to step up to the next hold, but as soon as I let go of my left hand, I come off. I get a right heel hook on the volume to try and move my right hand, but it doesn't feel good. I match my left hand with a toe hook and can statically reach the next hold. I get a right toe hook and bump my left hand to the pinch. My forearms are fried and I can't even hold on. So I move on to some slabbier stuff. This green boulder starts with a high left foot that you have to rock over, and then you mantle up to some slopey volumes. The volumes are way worse than I thought they would be, and I blow my flash attempt. This time, I just trust the volume and go for it, but I slip off the volume and almost drop the finish. I try another slabby boulder, but this time it's a traverse on good volumes. Honestly, the hands are good for the wall angle too, but I was pretty uncomfy. The foot swap is a lot less controlled than I wanted it to be, but I'm able to stay on and get the send. I decided to finish off the session with this blue one. The left hand is a pretty good undercling, but the right hand is a slopey pinch and I can't really generate off it. I focus on jumping off my left foot and I get much closer. I catch it with my two front fingers like I'm Spock, but then I can't control the barn door afterwards. This time, I catch it with one finger and control the swing, but then I can't move. I managed to catch it with two fingers and control the swing, but I'm not sure what to do next. I try to move my right hand, but I come off. I think I have to make some delicate foot moves, but unfortunately, the gym is about to close. So, after my session, what do I think of Bouldering Project and Gowanus? In terms of training tools, they're pretty solid. They have a good selection of free weights and cardio machines. They also have hang boards, canvas boards, a tension board too, and a kilter board. The only thing I could ask for is a spray wall or moon board. In terms of the route setting, they have some really fun and well set boulders, but I think they're more focused on competition style over traditional style. And honestly, I think some other gyms have better comp setting. I would love to see more crimp lines and climbs that emphasize basic movement like drop knees, heel hooks, toe hooks, and mantles. With their setting, I think it would be pretty hard to transition to outdoor bouldering. Another thing I noticed is that the gym didn't have that many climbs. I think the amount of space is fine, but some of the walls were very sparse. I'm not sure if it's always like that, or if it was just because I came after their Boulder Fest competition. One small gripe with the layout is that the back alley is pretty narrow. There's not enough room to even exist on the mats when people are climbing, and I can't imagine how people handle it when the gym is crowded. And one last thing I want to talk about is the grading. I think 3 V grades is too wide of a range. I get that grading is subjective, but I prefer more precise grades. If I want to climb things at a V5 level, I don't want to have to look at 3 different colors, which could range from V3 to V7. But since the route setting is a little one-dimensional, and there aren't that many boulders overall, I would put Brooklyn Bouldering Project in B tier. Movement Gowanus is just a couple blocks away, and I prefer their setting, training boards, and number of routes. But what do you think of this gym? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you'd like to see more New York City climbing gym reviews, check out this playlist right over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!